So I grew up in a Christian family. I went to church. I learnt from the Bible. I learned about God, about Jesus, and the things in the Bible I believe to be true. But as I grew up, I found this tension within myself of wanting to live for myself and not for God. Despite knowing that God existed, that He was real, I didn't want to live for Him. I wanted to live for myself. So I made up my mind, I'll just try and be a good person. I'll try and work my way through life, doing good things, being moral, doing all the right things, saying all the right things, and then maybe God would accept me as long as I didn't have to live for Him. That went downhill pretty fast. So no matter how much I tried to live for myself, no matter how much I tried to be a good person, I found that I always fell short of my own standards, yet alone God's standards. But I was scared that God would, if I gave my life to God and stopped living for myself, that He would take over completely, and that I would have to do things that I didn't want to do. So I just continued in my life of trying to be a good person, failing continually. And it wasn't until about year 10, year 11, when I realized that no matter how much I tried to pretend that God didn't exist, or that I could be good enough, I wasn't good enough. And if I didn't submit my life to God and give Him the control, then I would not make the cut. So in year 11, I finally gave up control of my life. I submitted to God. That meant that I decided that I would no longer live for myself. I'd no longer try to be a good person, but I'd purely just trust in God's grace that He has saved me through Jesus dying on the cross for me. So after I did that, it wasn't an instant change. I didn't suddenly feel very holy and was able to go about being a perfect person. I still sinned, I still did wrong things, but it meant that I wasn't trying to be good enough for God, because I cannot be good enough. No matter how much I try to, I will always fail, and it's only because of Jesus and what He's done for me that I can be seen as right before God. So you've probably heard me talk about Jesus quite a bit. I think Jesus is worth it, just by looking at the Bible. When you read through the Gospels, so Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, you see this guy who says incredible things, who does incredible things, who claims to be God and raises the dead. And it can either be true or it can either be a lie. Looking at the reliability of the Bible, I can't refute the credibility of it. And if the Bible is true and Jesus is God and He came and died for me, then the least I can do, the only real response I can have because of that, is to live entirely for Him. And that is where I find satisfaction, joy, and peace in God.